We're the indie project Bee and Theo, and we've been living and travelling the world in vans for the past 6 years. We're currently renovating an abandoned stone barn in Portugal to turn into a beautiful tiny home for us and our cats Ginjey Bear and Furrnando. Follow our journey from the very beginning as we document the whole process of creating an off-grid home.
Hello everyone and welcome back to another instalment of our Portuguese barn conversion series.
Here we are sitting in our dream barn conversion that we've been working on for the last few years, and we are finally moved in and very excited to be spending time in here. And we've had loads of new subscribers recently, so what we thought we'd do is do a video of our tiny home journey and how we got here.
Smoke in the sky and fire in the air. Desire burns between them. One big push is gonna get you there. Takes a stronger eye to see them. And when you see it in front of you, in a silhouette up ahead, and you see where you're going to.
So our first introduction to tiny home living was actually on wheels in a tiny weeny Citroen Berlingo way back in 2013.
So at the time I was working as a filmmaker, super long hours in the film industry, 12 to 16 hour days, non-stop, all over the place, travelling around the country, and I really wanted something that I could just nip away on the weekend and just escape life and just go and explore the country that I was living in at the time, which was England. There's so many beautiful places to explore there, like the Peak District, all the way up to Scotland, also Wales. So I wanted something really basic that I could complete really quickly and use this tiny van that I purchased as soon as possible.
Being a micro camper meant that there wasn't a lot of room inside, which is totally fine when the weather's lovely and sunny and you can spend time outside. You've got the inside of the micro camper to store your things in and don't really spend too much time in. But as Theo said, we were exploring the UK, which is generally drizzly and rainy and windy and rather gross. So that meant that we'd spend quite a lot of time inside the micro camper on the evenings cooking, which could make it pretty tricky when there's two people in there. You've got one bench that you need to turn into a bed, so you both have to go outside, take the cushions out, things like that. We learned so much from this small camper about what we did and didn't want for our next one.
So the tiny little micro camper Berlingo, we actually took all the way over to France and travelled around France, all the way up to Scotland and many different places around the UK. But as Bee mentioned, we soon found out that there was many flaws of living in a van that tiny, and at the time we lived in a tiny apartment block and we wanted to get out, we wanted to change our lives, and we wanted something slightly bigger, like a micro apartment on wheels, so that we could see the world. And that is when we upgraded to the VW T4 Long Wheelbase.
When I think about when we moved up from the micro camper to the T4, it fills me with a lot of joy because, to be honest, the Berlingo was so shoddy. Like, the work we did on that was really bad. This was the first time I think Theo had ever picked up a drill, so it was very rough and ready, but it served its purpose, and like Theo said, it gave us a bug for travel, and we ended up moving full time into the T4, which was an honestly life-changing experience. We wouldn't be where we are now without that. So to go to the T4, which had a huge double bed, which was actually a sofa, it had a fixed kitchen with a hob on it, it had a fridge, it had a little freezer in it, it had more than one seat, it had a swivel seat in the front. It was luxury, it was truly amazing, and it was the vessel for us to explore the entirety of Europe. But we also learned a lot from this van as well.
shed. So the VW T4 Long Wheelbase was actually a massive upgrade for us from the micro camper that was the Berlingo. I finally had a nice big double bed that I could relax in the evenings, and no longer were my feet hanging over onto the dashboard, so that was really nice. But there were things that were quite frustrating after living in this vehicle for a couple of years and traveling around so many different places. We took this van all the way to the Arctic Circle in Sweden and Norway.
Yes, finally we're going through. Give this guy a wave. And he didn't wave back. Wow, that was embarrassing.
Travelled around many different places in Europe. I think about 23 different countries we managed in this vehicle. So it became clear after a while what things didn't work. So some of the things that didn't work we soon found out in Norway when it was -8 and we didn't have a heater in the van. We had no solar in our first two vehicles, and that was because it was such new technology back then, and you'd have to have a huge amount of money to be able to have solar in your van because it was such new technology. The third thing that was quite frustrating was having to put the bed away every morning and make it every evening, and that's something we vowed and never to do again.
And the final straw for us with the T4 was actually not being able to stand up, and that went over to the micro camper as well. Like Theo said, we went all the way up to the Arctic Circle, and up there you can have weeks upon weeks of rain, so when you're trapped inside, it's quite frustrating to not be able to stand up and stretch out. You're hunched over, it's pretty uncomfortable. And I've got to say that all of these things that we're pointing out are mine and Theo's preferences. I know that there's lots of people who enjoy different types of tiny homes, and that's totally fine, but this is what led us to where we are today. And the next thing we moved on to after our T4, in fact, actually, these two kind of overlapped because we kind of went between boat life and van life for a number of years after this. We moved on to a 30-foot narrowboat, and let me tell you, we thought going from the micro camper to the T4 was a big upgrade. Going from the T4 into a 30-foot narrowboat was like moving into a mansion. Another important thing for us is security when we're online, and thanks to Surfshark, who have kindly sponsored today's video, we're able to do just that. Surfshark is a virtual private network that keeps all of your data and information safe whenever you're online by using encryption, and this is especially important if you're using public Wi-Fi. Surfshark is super simple to use, and you can have it on an unlimited amount of devices at the same time, which is very handy because both me and Theo have it on our phones and our laptops and always use them at the exact same time. There'd be nothing worse than having to wait for him to finish using it so I can. I even have it set up automatically on my laptop, so it starts as soon as I open it up, giving me peace of mind whenever I'm online. It allows you to travel the world virtually by changing your location at the click of a button. So whether you're on holiday and you're missing a program that you've been watching back home, or you keep hearing about a show that everyone's going on about but it's not available in your region, you can easily switch up your virtual location by choosing it from the search menu. And even more impressive is that Surfshark automatically blocks more than 1 million known malicious websites, phishing methods and other threats. Surfshark are currently offering our community a fantastic 83% off and 3 months extra free by clicking the link in our description and using the code TheIndieProject. I really hope you enjoy using Surfshark as much as we do and get all of the benefits that you can from this fabulous VPN. I've just spotted a group of ducklings with their mommy and they're so cute! My favourite time of year on the canal is springtime. It's just lovely. All the babies are out, all the trees and the plants are starting to come back to life. It's nice.
When I woke up this morning, found everything in place. The birds were singing pretty songs, the sun kissed me on my face. It feels so good to be alive, it feels so good to see the light. I got this sudden feeling like now's the time to start.
Having the T4 and the narrowboat at the same time was actually an amazing combination. So we were living full time on the water. We could travel around the canal networks of the UK, which are really vast. And we had an amazing 3 years living on the narrowboat. And suddenly we had different areas within our tiny home. So we had a separate kitchen, we had a nice little living area with a wood burner, we even had a shower on board, and we had our lovely fixed bed. But it still was narrow. But the combination of living between a narrowboat and a T4 was perfect for us, because it meant that we could still travel further afield on the road to different wild camping spots on the weekend when we had time off.
So starting at the back, we've got two 13-kilo Cala gas canisters down here that power our boiler, our oven and our cooker. Our boiler flew, our boiler's fabulous, it gives us hot water, which is a nice change from our van that doesn't have any hot water at all. Over here, this is where we turn the boat on and get moving and go places.
Oh, the wind's picked up a little bit. Let's go.
Moving on to the narrowboat meant that we could stand up at all times. I spent a lot of time standing up in the narrowboat because...
Actually, I couldn't.
Oh God, yeah, Theo actually had to be a bit hunched because he is 6'3" and I think was the boat 6 foot, so you had to be a bit hunched. But for me, so much headroom, it was amazing, and the kitchen in there was such an upgrade from our T4. We've got a lovely little boiler that just stays out of the way. I don't leave it on all the time because it's just a waste of gas. It's turned on when I need to use hot water for the sink or when we have showers. The sink is so simple, literally just do that switch and then we've got running water. As you can see, we've made the most out of our small space by hanging pretty much everything up in the dead areas that's possible. I don't even bother putting plates and stuff away because we use them so often. There's no point taking up our small space elsewhere, they just stay there. Cups and stuff hang from hooks. Hooks are amazing, you can do anything with them. We've got such a large amount of space here, it's just more than what we actually had in our 1-bedroom apartment 5 years ago, so it's pretty cool. Storage solutions in terms of our food and random bits. We've got all condiments and things in these really cool slide out wicker baskets. They're fabulous. I won't show you under here because it's a total mess, but just think under the sink storage, whatever goes in there. We've got a little cool box here. It's run by 12 volt, we got it from Aldi for £30 and it's absolutely amazing. It's huge, I can fit loads of stuff in right now, it's about halfway full. And it's fabulous. We've got more wicker storage here, slightly larger where bread and things like that live. And then we've got our wonderful separator from the rest of the boat. It holds all our jars like couscous and pasta and all those sorts of things. It just allows us to be able to see through but still be separate from the rest of the boat. And the piece de resistance of any kitchen is the oven and the four hobs, a huge sink with on-demand hot water, loads of storage. It was honestly a dream come true for me, and it's little things like that that make you realise as time goes on what you do and don't need in these spaces. And going from the T4 to the boat made me realise that I needed a little bit more cooking room and bigger appliances to actually cook on. Moving on to the living room, which felt like a really different experience for us because we had two wonderful chairs in front of a wood burner, which if you might remember we said we didn't have any heating in the T4. Having a wood burner as our only source of heating in the boat for 3 years meant that we got very accustomed to knowing when to have the wood burner on, to being able to keep it going all night long and stuff like that. Honestly, having that was amazing, and which is why we decided to go for wood burner heating inside our wonderful barn here.
So living amongst various vans and in a narrow boat really got us accustomed to living off-grid. As I mentioned, we were 3 years on a narrow boat and we have some really harsh winters, snow on the ground, minus temperatures, and we had to make sure that that boat was really nice and toasty at all times to be comfortable. We'd also be travelling around the canal network, so we had to prepare for things like, have we got enough wood, where can we get coal from, when can we fill up our next fuel, water, that kind of thing. And it really makes you think and gets you ready for a life of living off-grid on a piece of land.
One of the most important things about our boat is our solar panel. Gives us so much energy, powers all our 12 volts, and we've never ever had a problem with running out of power with our solar panel. We actually ended up doing some pretty big renovations when we moved onto our boat, because even though we had a list of criteria when we were searching for them, like it had to have a fixed bed, we ended up choosing one without a fixed bed, so it meant that we had to rip that out and change everything.
The bed is basically going to be a crossways, so instead of long ways how it is now, it's going to be a cross here, and I'm hoping it should just be big enough for me to lie down comfortably, but I'm sure it will be. It's exciting and yeah, fairly scary at the same time. I'm winging it a little bit. I've not done much stuff like this before, but how hard can it be? That in there is like a spider's paradise. Oh my god, oh my, look at that. That is terrifying.
So the wonderful wood burner was initially at the bow, so we moved that to the centre of the boat for better heat distribution, and so we could actually have a wonderful fixed bed bedroom area up the front there.
Now I stand by your side. On our own time.
So the wood burner is completely dismantled now. The only problem is I can't lift it out of the boat on my own, so I have to find someone else to help me with that. We've just laid the mattress on and it looks amazing. Like, I literally can't wait to get all of the bedding on.
And I'm just so bloody excited. And look how much room I have when I stand up in this. I'm bloody happy! Ha! And look, we've got a little skylight. You know what? I haven't even tested it out.
Originally our bed was a fold down Murphy bed that ran along the side of the boat here. It took up all the room when the bed was out. It was such a faff to get it out every night, and it's just really nice to be able to have a ready-made bed all the time that you can just dive into or sit on and just work on your laptop and stuff. We've also wanted to have a full-size bed because it means that we can store all our clothes and loads of other bits and bobs underneath rather than having it all out and in the way because we have to tidy our bed away every single day. We ended up having a living room in the centre, which was a really nice place because this was the first time ever that we'd had a separate bedroom area and a living room area all to ourselves.
We've also got a really nice stained glass window that I got off eBay, and that's behind the wood burner because we didn't want people looking in, and we can't have a curtain or a blind so close to the wood burner, so that has actually worked really nicely, and lots of cool fragmented light comes through that and it looks really nice.
We also ended up adopting Ginjey Bear during this time, so this was our first time having a pet together, and actually you all know she's not a pet, she's our baby, she's our first fur child. Furrnando is the second, and this meant that we had to install a cat flap because Ginjey Bear is an independent cat and likes to do her own thing. As you can imagine, living on a narrow boat meant that Ginjey is actually pretty good at swimming. She's jumped in quite a few times, and living with her really did change quite a lot of our priorities when it came to tiny house living. So our wastewater, which is from our sink in the kitchen and our shower, goes directly into the canal. Pretty much every single boat on the canal system doesn't have a grey water tank. It goes into the canal, that's just normal. And the porta potty toilet waste does not, I repeat, it does not go into the canal. It goes into the porta potty, which is then disposed of in a special sewage storage place like with camper vans. So yeah, please don't think that toilet water goes into the canal. I know canals are quite gross with like loads of weird stuff in it, but there's no toilet water at all.
So after 3 wonderful years living on our narrow boat, we finally decided that we wanted to move full-time back in a van, but we needed more space and we also wanted another big project, so this was perfect. We decided to buy a 2014 long wheelbase Sprinter van that we were going to drive around the world in.
So by by now we felt pretty confident in what we wanted in a tiny home. We knew what we did and didn't need, and I was really excited when it came to designing our Sprinter layout because we could stand up in it and it was quite a lot longer than the T4, so we could have a wonderful fixed double bed storage area for our clothes, because in the T4 we just had two tiny little cupboards, which I'm amazed that we managed to keep our clothes in that we needed, and also a wonderful L-shaped seating area. Behind me you can see we're a little bit obsessed with that, and also a wonderful oven and 2-hob system. If you like cooking like me, you know that being able to cook anything that you can makes life a lot more enjoyable. Momentous occasion about to occur, people. We're about to expose the wheel arch. Hello there.
There we go.
Hello friend, welcome to the family.
Yes! Another one out. That's it. It's all out.
Let's get the bulkhead out. So as you can see behind me, there is now no more bulkhead. It's all free behind me, which is super excited. It really opens up the van.
The van is now completely clean. Bee just hoovered it, and now it's ready for a lick of red oxide.
So now we've installed all of the sound deadening, the next step is to insulate. So we're using 2 different types of insulation. This is called Superloft. It's recycled plastic. It's non-fibrous. You don't have to wear gloves or a mask or anything to use it. I've kind of made a bit of a jigsaw puzzle. They do all fit around it. So yeah, we're going to also be sellotexing up there. It's going to look absolutely mental. The moment has come to put that in that. Let's go.
This particular tongue and groove is 8mm spruce, and we have our battens there which are 18mm by 34mm, so they're brilliant because they bend to the shape of the van.
We just had to trim off 34mm from the bottom because obviously now the floor's been put in, the ply didn't fit in as perfectly, but now it fits nicely and we can use it as a template for the cladding.
But how good does that look? I mean, around here I'm so happy with it. It looks so good around the window.
Nice knee pads going on there, mate.
Thank you.
Looking fire. So here we have an example of pocket hole joinery. It just creates a really nice smooth finish and also a very strong join, which is what you want for a seat. These are from a caravan. We got them off eBay. We've got them the other day and they're incredibly comfortable and they fit perfectly. In fact, they're a little bit too big, so we're gonna have to trim them to length. But widthways, they create a very, very comfortable base for us to lounge on.
And don't worry, we will be getting them reupholstered. Yeah. This is where our composting toilet's gonna slide out just like that, which is super cool, and it's soft shutting. Oh, nice.
Every time.
Love it. So here it is, just pull it out from under the chair, super easy access, and it's ready to use once it's lifted out of its tray.
Every day is my favourite phrase, but every time we put one more piece in the van, it really does bring it together and it feels like home.
It's an Indie Projects original.
It is. It's an Indie Projects original, revamped, vintage thing.
How amazing does that look? It's incredible. It looks just how we wanted it to.
Loving the look. We've got the little drawers in there. They look really cute. So here we have them in situ. How lovely do they look?
They are Amazing, they're so comfortable.
The cat face shape hole that Ginjey will be walking in and out of to do her business. There we have it.
That one turns on the one in the living room, and then this one turns on the one in the bedroom, and how cozy does that look? So our Sprinter van truly is an expedition vehicle with a cozy side. It's really comfortable and cozy inside with all the mod cons you could ask for, but on the outside it looks quite evil. It's got big off-road tires, we've lifted the suspension, we've got a snorkel, a roof rack, an extra tire on the back doors, and many other things to be able to go off-road and travel to further areas in the remote wilderness, which is where we love to spend most of our time. We've also added a light bar. Currently we're near the Arctic Circle, and in these sort of countries where it stays dark a lot of the time, or you're driving around at night, there can be moose in the road, there can be reindeer. We've got things like lithium batteries with a really nice big solar panel so we can charge and work from anywhere in the world. We have mobile Wi-Fi inside, 4G, 5G connectivity wherever we go. We also have a really good Webasto diesel heater system, so we can go to the Arctic and be sitting in our pants when it's -8 outside, not like our second van, our T4, where we were freezing cold and we were scraping ice off the inside of the windows. It's a very different experience in the Sprinter, and we absolutely love it.
Doing the Sprinter conversion was such a fantastic challenge for us because we learned an awful lot along the way, and I know that we did the Citroen Berlingo, but we really can't compare that to the Sprinter van because it really does just pale in comparison. We both learned an awful lot, but I've got to say that Theo really excelled when it came to this. He did so much research in what to do and what not to do, and it meant that we were really confident when it came to doing the barn conversion. As I also said, we had Ginjey Bear in our lives at this stage as well, so we wanted to make sure that when we were travelling around with her, she was just as comfortable as us, so we also made her a little space underneath the bench as well. Obviously, travelling with a cat, we can't just let her out and go to the toilet whenever she wants to because cats do not do stuff like that. So she has a little litter tray, all the smell stays in there, and it's really hygienic and a good place for her to go to the toilet. And then underneath there, she's got a name badge just in case she forgets what she's called.
So in the middle of the garage, we've got our retractable ladder. This thing's great. It fits nicely in the garage, takes up hardly any room, and that is what I use to get to the roof rack. So after spending many months in a dark, cold cowshed building our dream Sprinter van conversion, we finally decided that, you know what, we need to put this through its paces and take it on a trip that we built it for. So we took it to the Arctic Circle again. It was the perfect layout for a camper van for us. So we decided, you know what? It's time to drive this vehicle around the world, and we were going to start off by shipping it from Liverpool in the United Kingdom to Canada, Halifax, and we were so excited. We went and we got our visas from Belfast, and we had everything ready. We had our US business visas. We were so excited. We had everything packed pretty much. The van was ready to go. All the final details had been sorted on the van, and we were 1 week away taking it to the shipping yard and shipping it to Canada when the pandemic hit.
I want to do a little story time and cast your minds back to when we got the narrowboat and we said that we kept our T4 and we were living between the T4 and the narrowboat. It was a really nice combination, and we wanted to escape winters in the UK because, to be quite honest with you, they suck. They're cold, they're not very nice. We definitely prefer the nicer weather in life. So we came over to Portugal in 2017 to spend the winter, and during that time we actually found this beautiful plot of land that had a really nice barn on it that no one had done anything with for well over a decade, and we ended up getting it, and it's actually this place where we're standing right now. And when we got it, our plan was to spend the winters here and spend the rest of the year travelling in our van, which is why we got our Sprinter and ended up moving out of the narrowboat. We'd found this really good balance in life, and we thought, you know, we'll leave this place for a few years whilst we travel around the world, and then we'll come back to it afterwards and convert the barn. But as Theo said, the pandemic hit and changed all of our plans, so we ended up coming over here sooner to convert the barn, and here we are now.
So going back now to 2018, and we were very excited because we were spending our full first winter on our property here in Portugal, and we were living in our newly converted Sprinter van, so we were nice and comfortable. But we really wanted friends and family to be able to visit, so what we decided to do is to buy another small renovation project. It's a Luna Stella 400, and we actually bought it in Portugal. It's a UK registered caravan, but we got it here. I was just flicking through the internet, as you do, and kind of just fell in love with this caravan.
If you use light colours in a small space, everybody knows that opens it up really nicely, and that's why I've got other smaller features darker to really bring them in together. Well, the original carpet was a dark green, which whilst it wasn't horrible, everything stuck to it. It was impossible to clean, so we just put this laminate down. It took only a couple of hours, and I think it was only like 1.5 packs because there's hardly any floor space. And last but not least, we've got the kitchen area. I really didn't have to do too much to this, but it does look drastically different from the original because of the wonderful blue block colour that we've got along the bottom.
We couldn't import our wonderful van when we decided to move here full time, because remember, as I said, it was supposed to just be a winter base, and the pandemic kind of changed everything, so we chose to move here full time. We couldn't import our van because of all the external and internal modifications that we'd done to it. So the caravan actually worked out totally perfect for us, whilst our van's tucked up in storage, all nice and safe and happy in the UK. We've got a caravan to live in whilst we were converting this barn, and the caravan was really fun to renovate back in 2019. We got that in the January, and I remember I'd set a deadline because my mum was coming a month after we got it, so I was like, we've got to paint it, we've got to put laminate floor down, we've got to make it all lovely and cozy, and it actually worked out really nice. And every guest that we've had staying here, I've got to say, they really enjoyed it, and I don't know if they were just saying that to make me happy but it is a really nice space, and living in there was really helpful for us when we were converting this barn because we had space to stretch out. It has a cooker and an oven and room in there to store all our bits and pieces. We even managed to fit a cat flap on there so both the cats can come and go as they please.
Oh wow, what a difference that is. You've done an amazing job as usual. Well done for blowing me away.
I've been made to kind of think outside the box and do workarounds and really test my creativity and how I'm going to do it, because I really want to restore this barn. Some techniques that we're using, like the breathable membrane and not using mortar on the ridge, it's a really good thing, but it looks slightly different. So with the way that I've finished the end of the ridge tiles, now it really does look like a traditional Portuguese building, which I'm stoked about. How lovely the ceiling is looking with the light bursting through the roof windows. But look!
It's the concrete floor!
You can tell we're excited.
You know what? It's lovely being able to just glide around on a flat surface. There's no bumps, there's no dirt, there's no random rocks sticking out. The grain is popping so well. It was really worth it. And if you want to see the subtle change from the colour of the wood, that's it. This is a sanded piece of chestnut, and that's 3 coats of Danish oil.
This is the face of a man who is fed up of pointing.
And here we are now on our biggest renovation to date. And a lot of people ask us why we're called the Indie Projects, and we like doing independent projects. We'd love to get stuck in on a project. As you can tell by now on our channel, we do so many different renovations and projects along the way. And that's just what we enjoy, and we enjoy bringing you guys along with us. And this project has definitely been the biggest and the best to date, but we definitely got inspiration along the way from staying in different various other tiny homes and Airbnbs. And one of them that comes to mind was a beautiful shepherd's hut that we stayed in Cornwall. Oh, it's a bit windy out there. Looking forward to trying the fire out later there.
Such a cute little wood burner, and we all know Theo has a love for fire.
I really enjoyed the layout of the shepherd's hut. It gave me kind of a similar vibe to our narrowboat, just a little bit wider, and having the distinct area with the wood burner to heat the whole space was really wonderful. But for me, it was the kitchen that really stuck in my mind, and that did give us inspiration for our van conversion, but also for our kitchen in here. When you see the video going around of the tour, you'll see that we have the exact same fridge that was in that shepherd's hut because we really liked it. It was the perfect size, we got to use it, and we knew that it would work really well in here.
And another place we took massive inspiration from was the Kungsleden. It's a 440-kilometre hike through Arctic Sweden that we hiked the entirety of the trail, and it's the last largest remaining wilderness in Europe, and it was one of the best things we've ever done in our lives. We had a lot of fun hiking that trail, and while we were there, we were staying in some incredible cabins in the middle of nowhere. And like I said, we took a lot of inspiration from them cozy little cabins. When you're there, your feet are sore, you're tired, and you just want to crank the wood burner and just chill out for the evening. And this really feels what we've created here. We've actually got the same wood burner in our barn that we were using on the trail.
So last summer, whilst we were back in the UK, I took Theo to stay at a really beautiful barn conversion in the south of England, and it gave us quite a lot of inspiration for our place that we have here. We already had our mezzanine set up and a layout in our mind, but to actually see somewhere very similar to ours was pretty cool because we got to stay in there, sleep on the mezzanine, cook in the kitchen, use the bathroom, hang out in the living area. It was actually really nice and cozy and made us feel really confident with the ideas that we had for this place. Something that they'd done that actually was fantastic for us to see was they had their ladder in the centre of the mezzanine and going down into the room, and that's something that we'd kind of still been a bit not sure what to do with in our barn conversion. Should we have a ladder in the centre? Should we have a sliding one? What should we do? And we knew that for us, we weren't really going to ever move it if it was a sliding one. Let's be honest, it'll end up staying in the centre of the room anyway. So going up and down that ladder in that barn conversion kind of solidified our decision to do it here, and we're really happy with the idea that we have for it to go in the middle here now.
So I hope you've enjoyed our kind of tiny home journey and how we actually arrived at this project. And let me tell you, this is not going to be the last. We might even have a few things in the pipeline, but you'll just have to wait and see.
You never know what we've got planned, and we're always taking inspiration from what we see day to day, and we really hope that, like Theo said, you've enjoyed following this journey. There's still a lot to go, so make sure that you hit subscribe if you haven't already, turn notifications on so you never miss a video.
See you on the next one.